So I've been feeling a bit uncertain and experiencing what I call ego backlash. And this is that feeling when you do something courageous and your ego is saying, what the heck did you just do? Back up, run, don't do it. And I want to share with you how I am process this feeling in real time. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a pathway to remembering your individual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello and welcome back, beautiful soul. I'm back with you. As promised, I'm sharing in this season the messiness, the complexity of our psychology, and as we are growing, how the ego can come in. And I just finished up doing part two of my conversation, a priestess and a pastor, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And tomorrow, the first part one is going to be published, and I am facing some anxiety with that. And so, again, as promised, I'm turning on the camera because I noticed that this anxiety is here, and I've been doing the things that I tell you to do. Be out in nature, ground yourself. Um, and yet I'm still feeling that anxiety that's because it feels uncomfortable, because of the human fear of being judged. And so I think this is so important, because sometimes we see a person doing something and we're like, oh, yay, good for them. Or wow, you can even see them and see that what they're doing, that like it takes courage. It takes them, really stepping into who they are. And you don't see what I call the ego backlash. And this is something I would talk to my clients about all the time. Like you do something, you do the thing, you step forward, and then your ego comes and says, what the heck are you doing? Back out, this isn't safe. And so I think it's very important that I share that with you, that this is a normal part of when we are stepping into to be the courage of who we truly are, and to allow it to be seen, and to really have compassion for ourselves and others. Because of course, for some people this isn't a big deal, and for others they can understand that it would cause trepidation, just with knowing the complexities that are there when it comes to our spiritual beliefs, that some people get very adamant that there's a way, and the judging that has taken place, and murder in the past, and other timelines that has taken place because of people's belief, especially around the divine feminine. So I don't feel, that threat, but it's just interesting to watch the ego spin. And so I wanted to be upfront with that this is coming forward, because I want to bring some normalcy to you, that when your heart is calling you to do something that feels uncomfortable, it's it's being able and being willing to hear the ego, to hear all the stories of what it's telling you, and still choose otherwise. And then even when you choose otherwise, you may experience ego backlash like me. And it's actually quite common. It's that kind of last ditch attempt of the ego to say, no, 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 no. Stay in the box that you've been in. The box that you've been in has been okay. You've already pushed the boundaries enough. Don't try to push it anymore. And I liken it to um, the dying wolf. The dying wolf is the wolf that cries louder and louder. It's trying to get your attention, but we have to remember it's dying. This is part of the ego death process, that it gets louder and louder. And it's saying, wait, what are you doing? Get back into the the cocoon that I want to keep you in. And that cocoon can feel so safe to our human selves. But what I keep going back to is how good it feels to be fully free. And if you're not watching me, I'm like my arms are spreading open and my heart feels expansive. Even though a part of my heart also feels afraid, it's like when I'm really in that energy of this is what it means to allow the divine to work through me. Or you may not experience it that way. You may just feel like this is what it feels like to trust myself, and you go for it. That if we can remember that feeling and how good it feels to be true to yourself. And I know people can get very um, judgy about being authentic. And it's always interesting to me because people are like, just be authentic. And it's like, that to me is not authentic because it's just not being real to the complexities um, of who we are. And at least for me, as an emotionally sensitive person, I am attuned to others' reactions. And my life's journey has been about knowing what a gift that is, because when I work with people, um, and even when I do the work that I do, I can be very attuned to what is going on for people emotionally because of this gift. And I have to remember, even though that I can be attuned to others' energy, it's not my energy, and it's not my energy um, to heal, to fix, to do anything, because that's for the other person. That's how they get to spread their wings. That's how they get to grow. And so it's like we can get these reminders and we can get it in our head. So, how do we anchor this in our heart? For me, it's not fully anchored yet, and it probably won't be until I actually publish. And so it's, what do I need to give myself in this in between time where my ego wants to go to these worst case scenarios, and how to help myself remember and honor that I am living in alignment, that I am trusting myself and I'm trusting the divine, and this is how I want to live. This is a time where it really is important to do things that allow for nurturance, um, things that allow for companionship, because rather than get caught in our own story, it's very helpful to be with friends, to be with your loved ones, and be able to talk about their stuff, their day, because the ego always wants to make it about us. The ego wants to make it about, it's how it feels tender, how it feels hurt, right? And again, we can have compassion for that, but the more we get wrapped into that story, the more the more tightness we're going to feel, right? It's like, isn't that interesting? The story is like it's trying, the story is trying to wrap around us. And with that wrapping is that constriction. And so what's really important for me to share is that here is a normal expression of anxiety. And I think we get worried when we get anxious, but hopefully you and I want to be living lives that cause us anxiety at times because it means we're stretching ourselves. And the more I can have these conversations, and I just want to say I feel very blessed that you're with me and you're witnessing this with me because this is a part of it. It's being able to talk it through and remember the truth of the situation. So you can do this by talking to a friend and just being like, gosh, can you witness me as I kind of unravel this with you and really help me to remember my truth. You can journal about this. But again, at some point, we don't want to continue to get wrapped into it because that just allows the anxiety to start to swirl and spin and fester, right? And we want to start to normalize that part of living our best lives is to put ourselves into circumstances that stretch us, that make us uncomfortable, and that we are facing the unknown. Because honestly, if I wasn't doing this for myself, life would get very boring. And I've tried doing it that way. I've tried playing it safe. I've tried um, painting or coloring within the lines, right? And still having these beliefs, but not entirely sharing the fullness of them. And so for a while that worked. Because what I would do is I would kind of do the color in the lines version publicly, and then with my private clients and groups that I worked with, they would get to feel and experience more of my beliefs because there was trust there. I knew that they knew my heart, I knew their hearts, and there was a way that we could connect because we knew each other in that way. And that's how I'm feeling even in our relationship. I know I don't get to like see you personally, but I feel like there's something there that you're choosing to be a part of this podcast. You're choosing to be in the messiness rather than, all the ways that we say, like, 10 steps to be more confident or fake it till you make it. Like, you're like, no, I just want to be in the realness with people of like how this may play out, even though, again, you've done the therapy, you've done the inner child work, you've done the shadow work. Like, to me, this is what it means to be human, that we know better, right? We know in our minds, like, what's going on, but how do we embody this? And for me, it is the practice of the love that I have for allowing the divine to work through me. And that's why this podcast may be different than other podcasts on psychology, because for me, the faith aspect of this has always been crucial. It's always been that both that soft spot for me to land where I know I'm loved no matter what, as well as the courage to stand in my truth and own that and know that I'm being divinely guided. Even if it doesn't work out, even if there's some backlash, it's like, okay, and how am I being guided to grow from this experience? So this is where I think it's such a beautiful practice of offering ourselves and others compassion. Um, and this is where I come back to because it's like, again, I know better, but to embody that knowingness to find peace again is to really have compassion for my experience and perhaps for yours as well. That where you have been a peacemaker. You have been someone that has been a unifier. And so when you're challenged that in a way that you're bringing forward something that you're afraid can cause disharmony for someone, it's for me, it's like I've been programmed to be like, no, I'm the one that brings harmony together, not the other way around. But sometimes, in order to find our way back, in order to create harmony, we things have to get messy in order to truly find our way back to unification. Otherwise, it's like, when you're doing a puzzle and like you want the piece to fit, but it doesn't quite fit, and you're kind of making it fit in there. That's what it can feel like. It's like, okay, I got most of these pieces together, but there's one piece that's supposed to be here, and it's really not. And so when we feel this upheaval, it's or called anxiety, called discomfort, uh, an unsettled feeling. There's a little bit of the shaking up of the puzzle pieces in order that we can let go of the way we've been trying to jam one of those pieces together and convince ourselves it fits when it doesn't, and trust that in that process, we're going to find the unity from within that we need. It's going to deepen more fully. This is how it gets anchored in. We give ourselves these experiences that make us uncomfortable so that we can remember that we can handle the discomfort. And so this is a big thing when it comes to anxiety, because I think so often we're trying to avoid the feeling of discomfort. And, when life is when you're dealing with a lot of upheaval and you're just stretched to your max, it's like, you've got to do what you've got to do. However, there comes a time when you're like, I don't want anxiety or fear running my life. And this is exactly when we challenge ourselves and that we know that something is guiding us to take this step forward, no matter how it's going to turn out, that how it looks on the external is really not the point. It's who I get to grow to be internally. And when I remember that, then it's like, it gets anchored in even more. So that's my practice. It's talking it through and remembering my bigger value. It's being able to honor both the courage to step into something that's uncomfortable and the compassion for what it feels like because it's making us unsettled, and choosing that we would rather be in this place of uncertainty than in a false sense of safety that inhibits us, that inhibits even the tiniest layer of us. And that's where we're getting at with this is like, um, we're being willing to examine the tiny little layers or the big layers, right? It doesn't matter, but we're just with compassion, with love for ourselves. We're like, wow, wow, for you, this thing is uncomfortable. And yet you are willing to go in that discomfort, despite all the things that your ego's saying, despite the way that fear is trying to control you. And this is how we cut the puppet strings of the ego that's trying to control us. It's like a master puppet that's like, don't do this, don't do that. That cause, this is that, that'll cause this fearful outcome. That'll cause that fearful outcome. And the ego is never going to tell us what is possible on the other side because the ego has no freaking clue, no clue what the divine can do with us and through us when we're just willing to trust. And when I land in that, then there's that centeredness. Then it's like, it's okay. It's okay. And so it's just breathing into my heart. It's okay. and I remember. So again, first of all, thank you for allowing me to share my process, um, that we get to do this together, and honor each other as we do, and that this is part of courage. I guess that's all I wanted to remind you of is like this is it's like the flip side of courage, but we need both because it really is anything that makes us uncertain is where we need to step into more of our power. And um, the ego fears that uncertainty. And so but that's our practice to our power, to our bravery, to our values that are bigger than our fears. And so it's like, okay, I'm in this unknown. I'm in this place of practicing, and I can honor that for myself. And the more you can honor this for you, the more you're going to be able to honor and reflect that in another because you're like, I see you. I see that you have something from your past that is saying, this is super uncomfortable for me. And yet you're choosing not to buy into that story. You're choosing to take one step into something that your ego says don't do. And you are trusting a wiser voice, a more powerful voice. And you know that in doing that, some more more of you will be anchored in, or another aspect of yourself will be revealed. And it's worth it. It's worth it. And so as I sit here in this energy and just feeling into it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. I have no clue where the divine is taking this. And on some level, it's none of my business. It's just, I love my life so much better when I allow the divine to work through me as me. And you will love your life even better as you allow the divine to work through you as you, because that's what we are each here to do. We're each just a beautiful, unique expression of the divine, and that's why we are the divine, and we are expressing it in ways that we can learn from one another, that we can see more love from one another, and what a privilege it is. What a privilege it is. So that's what I'm sitting with. That's what is anchoring it in more for me. Um, I would say there is a part of me that perhaps expects there may be some ups and downs to this until I put this out there and kind of see the reality of it, right? And that's okay too. But right now, I feel more at peace. And if I lose my peace again, I'll come back to how can I remember the bigger picture? Because the ego wants to keep, it's like the horse with the blinders on, and it's saying, this is the only possibility, and it's not good, and it's all fear-based. And the universe is saying, it could be that thing that you're so worried about, it could be. And there's all this other aspects to it that we have no idea of the possibilities and potential that it's going to lead us on. But what we know, what it's doing within our hearts, is it's allowing us to trust ourselves more and to trust our hearts more. And life only gets better when we do that for ourselves. So that's where I'm going to leave it. And I'm so glad we are connected. Until next time, know that there is nothing to prove, just to remember. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Okay, I've got a quick update for you. It's been a couple weeks since I filmed the Ego Backlash. I'm wanting to get right in there when I am experiencing some of our quote unquote messiness of our humanity and really working it out with you so that you can see my process. And so I love that that was captured. And I got to share with you, it's been so magical afterwards. There were, as I predicted, some ups and downs. Um, uh, and really just one down where it wasn't even major, but I could feel the anxiety. It wasn't completely processed. I was in that uncertainty. And then let me tell you, there has just been breakthrough after breakthrough. It's been, I filmed because I want to capture the breakthrough. I filmed that in the bonus. I believe it's 304. I will link it to this, where I just felt this huge heart opening because the fear that I thought was going to happen, I experienced the exact opposite. And so that was just like, again, we have no idea of what the heart is capable of when we surrender. And so what happened was after filming that evening, I remember there was some anxiety, but it became very clear to me. It's always interesting how the universe works. And I ran into a neighbor who basically her husband is dying. And it just puts things in perspective. It's like, okay, I know I'm going through something that's important for me on a soul level. And yet at the same time, there is a gratitude for the present moment and all that I am blessed with, despite going through something that feels very uncertain for me. So I was really able to take that in. When we have these quote unquote random encounters and they give us perspective, it's really being grateful for that perspective change. And so that supported me. And then I had the breakthrough. And then I will say it's felt like a graduation from within, where it's just been a deeper and deeper anchoring in to my truth, regardless of what others do with that. Um, and just really freeing myself to live my life even more sovereign, even more from a way that just feels freeing and filled with gratitude. So it's just felt like an inner graduation, is all I can say. And I share this with you to encourage you that it's very, very normal for our human selves to want that certainty, want the guarantees, and there aren't any, especially when we are going for matters of the heart. And yet we will be guided. We will be guided. That I know for sure. And so I just want to honor you for being willing to be guided, to trust yourself, and know that whatever the outcome is that you have the strength within you to take that next step, that next step that's going to lead you to greater love. And so, again, thank you for being on this journey. I hope this update supports you to remember the love that you are, that we all face uncertainty, and we do have the courage within us when we remember our divinity. And I am thankful that we are connected, thankful for your unique expression of the divine within you. And I look forward to being in touch again with you next week.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.